Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Art After Hours. I'm Shauna Robeson with Creating Space Coastal, and in this video, we're going to be continuing our acrylic exploration by working on a wave on canvas. So this is the project we're going to be doing. So if you want to see how fun acrylics can be, stay tuned. Let's get started. I'm going to be working on this canvas. It's just a square. And I do like the thick ones because I feel like you can just stick it on the wall and you can even paint the sides of it and it looks cool. It's stretched canvas. Now the stretched canvas is usually, and it should say titanium acrylic gesso primed. Some people do just because they don't trust how well it's primed by the manufacturer. So they'll add an extra layer of prime, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to, unless if I saw something that looked like it wasn't covered, I might, but I'm just not going to worry about it. I am going to just spritz my canvas just to moisten it a little bit so that the paint moves a little bit better, just with a little bit of water. The colors that I'm going to be using, I have titanium white, and I may or may not use all of these, but I just lined them up so I can decide as I go. This is the yellow oxide, which to me looked like yellow ochre, and I might use that, but I'm not sure. I want to warm something up. I have a phthalo green, which is kind of a cooler green. Now, I always like to do swatches of my colors so I can see what they look like, so I can look at the lineup and go, okay, I want to use this color. So that's what I did. I picked my more warmer blues. I have my cobalt blue, which is in between blue and green. I have a Prussian blue, which is a warm blue, Pthalocyanine blue, which is also has a little bit of some more. This is the cooler. Now, I think for my background, because I want to have contrast from my background to my waves, so my sky. So I'm probably going to use this as a cooler blue for my background color. And then I'll put the wave, I'll have the wave over the top with a warmer blue. So that'll just give some contrast. And then I might, for the background, I might incorporate a little bit of some magenta just to add a little bit of cool, even more, or a little warmth to that blue, but kind of more of a pinky color, like the sunset or something, or sunrise. And then I have Payne for my darkest value. I have Payne's gray, which is kind of a mix of blue and black. So it's actually ultra blue, ultraviolet, and then bone black is the mix of pigments that makes up that. So I have those lined up. I don't know which ones I'm going to use exactly, but I want to have them available. I have a variety of brushes, some different shapes, and I want the firm brushes because I want to control this heavy bodied paint. It's between soft and heavy bodied, but none of it's fluid. So it's going to be a little bit thicker than a fluid. I have an old toothbrush, although I wish it was a little more beat up because it's kind of smooth. I want it to be more bristly. So I brought this to have some bristle, maybe for the wave splatter, to dab on the waves. I have my small filbert. I have actually 3 sizes of filberts because that's creating round shapes. I have a round pointed just for any details. And then this one I have for blending if I want any softness. I don't know exactly, what I'm going to need, and then a palette knife if I want to use that for some things, and a pencil to kind of draw out. So for starters, I just want to draw out like the shape of my wave based on that picture, just where the water is going to be compared to the sky, because I want to know where I want to put that sky. So I'm just dividing it out a little bit so I can tell what's sky and what's wave. And then I want my curl roughly over here. And the thing I want you to think about when you're looking at the picture, you want to think about what the water is doing as you're putting it on there, and move along the line of the flow of the water. I have my 2 large jars of water. Speaking of water, I also have handy some glazing liquid in case I want to thin out some of my paints at all or make them a little bit more blendable. I have my Stay Wet palette sort of just set up for putting any brushes that I want to use. I put some wax paper in to try like parchment, and actually this is cheap wax paper that actually feels more like parchment paper, so it actually worked really well. I could use this as a palette, but I'm just going to use this to put my brushes in if I don't want to wash them, you know, if I'm finished using them or I think I might use them again, but I don't want to wash them right away. So I'm just having that handy. I have a wet rag handy, and then I have a dry rag handy. And what else? And I have some other brushes just in case there's on standby. All right. So the first thing I want to do is get my sky. So I just want to create a real smooth sky. I'm going to take my flat and I'm going to wet it first, because I like to, usually I like to wet my brushes first because I think it helps kind of protect the bristles a little bit more from them sticking to the acrylics. And I'm going to mix the acrylics with a little bit of water anyway. So I always just like to get my brush wet. And then I'm going to take that cool blue and some of that on my mixing palette. I'm just using this elongated dish because it fits in the screen a little bit better than than my big flat palette, so you guys can see. And I'm putting this, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this. I'm just going to put a little bit of that. And then I do want, I'm going to probably use a lot of white. So just put a nice down the white over here. Now I like to add the colors to my palette as I use them, so they're not sitting there drying. So that's how I like to do it. All right, so I didn't go all the way down because I just wanted to cover the sky with that color. So I can start with my base layer. This is basically, I'm not really gonna do much more with the sky, but I'm gonna start painting my base layer of colors for my wave area. And I'm gonna start at the bottom. So I wanna let that dry. I think I'm gonna go with my phthalo green for my underpainting. All right. And now I've got, basically, I've kind of formed in the shape of what I'm working with, and I can do the details later, but I want the background colors ready to go. All right, so now I'm going to start putting in some darker tones. Excuse me, everybody. Just wanted to remind you to please like, subscribe, share, and comment if you're finding this content helpful so I can get noticed on YouTube. Thanks so much. Let's get back to the program. All right. Now I can bring in some of my lightest values. And then I can decide if I want to add more dark values. So now I'm working on the most extreme values. I put some of the darkest values in, and maybe that's fine, but I like to then put my light values in, and then I still check and see, oh, do I need to add more? That's just the details, right? So I'm going to, for the splashy foamy waves on the top, I'm going to use this. This is actually for doing stencils. It's just like a bristle brush, so it's real stiff and it's real wild, and I just want it to look kind of wild, like the ocean. So Reine, let's see. I don't know if you can see, Reine Chinaborsten is what it says. I can't get it to. So, and this is 6. I would do this with a brown round brush if I want to do details, but I think if I just am really gentle with the sides of the bristles, I can lay down a little bit of, just a little bit of paint on the brush. I can kind of put a little bit of some of that foam in there. Mix it in a little bit. I want it to be real subtle. I don't want it to be, just to show that movement. All right, I'm liking that. I'm liking how that's turning out, guys. I've never done a wave. I've always wanted to. But that's why it's just fun to explore. And like I said, if it doesn't work out, you can always just gesso over it and do it again. All right, I want to get this. I don't know if I want it that dark. I want to just, I want to kind of just smooth this little shape out a little bit. It was a little triangle-y for me. There we go. That's better. And I want to kind of smooth this guy up here a little bit. Just want to. So I'm going to rinse these more later, but this is what I'm doing. I'm just putting those. I did a rinse. I got as much out as I could, and I'm just putting in there so that they don't dry out if in case there's any paint still in there, because if you look at my water, it's not that clean. So it doesn't take long before the water gets really dirty when you're working with acrylics. All right, so I want some really detailed lines. Wetting my pointed round. And then I'm just going to put in a mix of white and this really light green, just kind of anywhere that I feel like I want some highlights. And then the very last thing I will do is some white splashing. And I would use the toothbrush, but those bristles are not, I don't really like those bristles that much because they're not very thick. They're not real coarse. So I feel like they'll give me smaller smaller drops, and I want bigger drops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I don't know, baster or whatever that is. Maybe it's for pencil shavings. I'm not even sure what that is. And I'm going to, so it's nice and stiff. And I used it for the last thing, for the intuitive acrylics. And I'm going to make sure that my white is real wet because I want it to splatter off of this. I'm just using water. And I'm just doing it where I would expect, you know, some splatter. So we're just right along the crest. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this episode of Healing Art After Hours. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and comment if you find this content helpful. And as always, happy creating. Bye.